Friday the 3rd of August, it's about 6 in the morning, as you can hear by the cars, and this time of year is a very telling time of year now. We've had a couple of goes at taking buds. Second take was yesterday, and I had a reasonable take. Some of the numbers we'll go through. These are the Valentine. Somehow are running late. I managed to get a few buds off a couple of days ago on these. A few taken, only about 16, and I'm hoping they may well make the national. I had to go digging in the centre for them, but they're there. The Challenger also are a bit late, but again I've managed to get 30 buds off there, and the rest are all about there. I should imagine I might get 50 or 60 in the next day or two that are sitting in there, and they may just creep into national or soon after on those. Depends on what the sun does, but the plants generally are looking good, looking nice and strong, and a well balanced sets. The only problem is the timing is a touch late on them. Here's the Candy. They're a good set. Took 100 buds on those yesterday. Elmery at the bottom there, and I've had quite a few buds off there. So maybe if I need a large for Midlands, it might be Elmery. As I took a decent number of those on about the 28th of July. This is Lottie. Again, took about 40 buds yesterday on those, and I'm happy with these. As a variety, it tries to want to grow outsidewards, so it needs a lot of tying in, and that's what I'll be doing a bit this morning. I've done these and just going around putting the second tyres in. Ruskin Dahlias, again, took about 50 yesterday off the 30 plants, and the Gateshead further down, which I've had a decent number of buds on those as well. Not quite sure where the full variety will be coming from for the national. The other 3 bits, which I've only got in smaller numbers, I've struggled to get any buds taken on those. Winholm Diane, about perfectly timed really. I had 60 on these on the 28th, and I took about 120 buds yesterday on those, and probably about to do the same again in another few days time. So they're nicely timed, and good strong plants, all grown this year on a single stop opposed to a double, which is the norm. And as you can see, we've got buds from that, some a bit bigger hiding in there, going to ones like that which have just been taken in the tips, and that would have been taken yesterday, same as there, and there'll be plenty that are still in there to take, a bit like that. And ones like that are yet to come, but they won't be far away in there, so that's good. They're due their second tie, but they're nearly at the tops of the canes now, so that might be the last tie on those. Oakwood, again doing well, doing its usual, coming into bud. It's a very squat plant normally. It's only as it comes into flower that it gets any meat to the plant, but again they're well timed. There's plenty of buds and stuff there. The Ruskin Myra are a little bit slow, but I've taken a few buds off those, and the rest are following. We'll just go down the bed a bit. That's Myra. these are still the Goldcrest. And then we've got Poms, that's the Rhonda. I went through those a couple of days ago and just started knocking back the big buds and leaving some smaller ones, and they're not bad. There's a few plants towards the bottom end there that are a little bit smaller. Would imagine I know there's a couple of stocks there, but one does seem better than others. Scoop round. There's the Amber Festival running down there. Again, they're always a bit low. Over there, if I can get to them. There's the El Marie. And some male framesy behind those. Feeding, I've fed all through July unbalanced. They had their first potash feed, which was Tomerite. 30 litres of Tomerite went on Wednesday, and that'll be weekly now until it's all gone, which should be the last feed around about the 22nd of August. And then the miniatures, trying to avoid the sun a little bit here. Lots of Lewis, and the miniatures are a bit disappointing overall. They're a bit up and down, and mostly a bit late. These were only plants that I really double stopped this year, and because of the cold and the wet, they've just been slow to get away. Managed to get about 40 buds on the Lewis taken yesterday, and the rest are following. So I should just scrape them in by national. I think in my mind, anything taken by the end of this week on a miniature will make it to the national, and there's been quite a few on those. The Mars and Susan, again a bit up and down, but there's plenty of buds in amongst those, and I've taken a fair few, so that'll probably be the miniature deck for me early on in the season. And when you got them sort of 16 odd up, there's plenty of flowers to come on those. At the bottom of both those beds is George Marsden, and I've not taken a bud on that yet. It's been very slow. Looks like that's one for Harrogate. Bottom of this bed is Barbary Pip. Again, the plants are a bit up and down, but I've taken a fair few buds on that one. It's not particularly late, but there's a few strange plants amongst those. And this is the Dave's Choice, which again is for an early variety is running late. Maybe I might just about get a take in there on some of the bigger plants that will see me to the national, a bit like those, but otherwise they're going to follow on. And behind those is the Mary's Demander, taking a few buds on those, so I should have a few for early on and the rest will follow through. So the miniatures are the most up and down, but when I look at it going through the covered area, I'll have small decks certainly from start to end of season. Poms under there start to end, small cacts start to end, medium semis no problem, medium decks no problem beyond. I'll have the first few for the bank holiday. The large decks I'll have, and the large semis I'll have in small numbers early on, running through the season. And looks like I'll be able to field a show up at Harrogate with Valentine, but hopefully I'll get a few out early on. And the Poms are fine. Here's the Goethe Twilight, and again plenty of buds on those, and plenty to come, so they're going to flush quite nicely through. There's 45 of those with the rose violet at the bottom, which are pretty much in a similar state. So I should be alright for championships from the start. I'll have six or so classifications to choose from, and plenty of numbers on those. And as the season goes on, the miniature ball, miniature decks will kick in more, and that'll give me another couple of choices. The only real disappointment, I suppose, is the fact that Valentine 66 plants. I would have thought, looking at the plants a few weeks ago, that I would have had flowers on those throughout the season. It was more a case of they may have come a bit too early, rather than, all at once early, but no, they're coming all at once a bit later. So that's where we're at the moment. Just going to get some more ties on some of the Winholms and the plants that need it more, and then it'll be another bud take early part of next week, Tuesday time, and there'll be some bigger buds in there. I won't be too selective on the size of those. Normally I try to just take a pea bud, but any slightly larger buds will add on to the last take for the national, and the smaller ones will go on for Kent, Sussex. I doubt Surrey from that point. The next take will be Surrey, and possibly Harrogate after that, and that should hopefully see me through over about 4 or 5 bud takes through the season. That's where we're at. Hope everyone else is happy with their plants. It's nice to see a bit of sunshine at the moment. Make the most of it, and long may it last. So the first show for me is about 3 weeks today, or 3 weeks yesterday, which would be possibly New Forest, and 3 weeks today will be cutting for Midlands, and then obviously 3 weeks Sunday will be Essex, and Monday will be Wales or Thames Valley. National, obviously 4 weeks today is the show. In fact, we'll start judging in about 4 weeks and an hour's time. Let's hope there's plenty there for them. This is my feeding post. Every time I use a drummer feed, I mark it on this post just so I've got a record. This is the nitrogen. Started feeding that June the 8th. We used 32 kilos in 8,000 litres or 1,700 gallons. The balanced feed, which was the Miracle Grow Balanced, I've used 60 kilos in 10,000 litres or 2.5 or 2,200 gallons. And this is the first feed of potash, which was 10 drums. Don't total it up at the end, but I was putting in 3 litres of Tomrite per 250 litre drum, and then there's sulphate of potash feed, about 16 kilos, went on dry 11th of July, which should start kicking in now. It's the only dry feed that went on, just to sort of complement the Tomrite, so that'll tally up to the end of the season, and I'll know what I've used and when I used it. Might as well use the covered posts for something.